Hi, today I want to show you how to use the assessment tools within Schoology. So to add an assessment, you're going to go to Add Materials, Add Assessment. It's the one that looks like a teal puzzle piece. And then the first thing it's going to prompt you to do, it's going to ask you to go through some basics. So this is where you would label the assessment. Now I always label things with a naming convention, usually the number unit 1, so on and so forth, and then whatever it is. So unit 1, reading assessment. And then a due date, I'm going to have this due on Friday. You can set a specific time. So if you want it to close at 3:10 when school gets out, you can set it to close at that time. Now this is kind of something that I've learned. I don't always know when I first start creating an assessment what the point breakdown is going to be. So normally I just go ahead and leave it at 100 points, and then I'll go back and adjust those points once I have the point breakdown. I figure out how much each question is going to be worth, how's the weight going to go for each question. So that's something you can always change. Now, you can leave submissions disabled to where kids cannot get in and see the test or submit it until you enable it. Or you can enable until a certain time. So if you enable from now until the time of the test at 3:23, and then it will lock when you put the time in. If you say 3 p.m., it's going to lock this test at 3 p.m. and kids are not going to be allowed in it anymore. So if you want to lock it down to where they can't go home and do anything, you can, but you'll also know because it's going to timestamp their assessments, so you'll know if they've done it at home or not. And then select your category. Just like within Infinite Campus, you will have different categories for grading. Select your category, reading, your scale. It's going to be a numeric scale. And then like any other assignment or test that you have within Schoology, you have the option to individually assign. So you can assign it to certain students. This is great if you have adapted tests. You can assign the adapted test to just certain students and the other tests to your other students. Really great, really easy. You don't have to worry about people being confused which test to take. Green dot means it's published to students, so students can see it. You can enable or disable your grading statistics. It's nice to have them enabled just so you can see those. And then you can copy to course. So it says copy to course is not available. This is not something that I have ever seen before. So you should have the option to copy to courses, to different courses. So then you're going to click create. Once you click create, it's going to come up here to this setup. And so the first thing is any instructions. Is there anything students need to know before they start the test? This will be on the very first screen. And then you have your assessment settings. You can require a time limit. If you want them to only have your class period to do it, you can say you have a 45-minute time period. That's all you have. So 45 minutes. Once you open it, that's the only time you have. Then if they open it, they can't leave the tab open and work on it in other classes. You can randomly order your questions if you don't want to worry about them looking off of each other. You can show the possible points. So I like to show my kids how many points each question is worth. You have this is a really great assessment toolbar that allows students to flag questions. So they can flag it to go back for a review. They can eliminate answer choices. So if you teach the kids on multiple choice, eliminate the ones you don't know. You can give them the option where they can go ahead and eliminate. You can offer a calculator to them. You can offer a ruler to them. You can offer a protractor to them. So this is great options for math teachers also. the student settings here where it says allow students to view results after an attempt is submitted. This is great if you want students to be able to see how they did. So I want them to see how they did. Yes, they can see the results. Or I can say yes with correct answers. So I can tell them yes, they can see it, and they can see which questions they got right, what the correct answers are. I normally don't do yes with correct answers because I don't want my morning students to run off and tell my afternoon students the answers to the test. So depending on the assessment, sometimes I say no, sometimes I say yes. And then you can have students be able to take the quiz test multiple times. So if you're really trying to get mastery, you can have the students, I usually allow the students to take it twice. I keep the highest score, and if the highest score is, if they still haven't passed it, they need to retake it. Then after 2 times, they need to come talk to me. We need to do a few things before some reteaching, some studying before they take it again. And then by clicking save, it just saves all your options. So you can hit add questions here, or you can, I always click the question button up here, but this is where you can add all your different options for questions. You have tons of questions, and I'm going to make a separate video breaking down basic questions and more advanced questions. But I just wanted to show you how you would get there. And then the last thing you're going to go to is you're going to go to student attempts. Now, if you had students in your course, you would see all your students' names. And then as they took the test, it would be labeled there. And it would say what time they took it. It would say the points that they got. It would say if you needed to go back and grade it. I didn't want to show you guys students that I currently have just for all the privacy laws and privacy rules. But this is a really great place to be able to go in and get data on your students. Super user friendly. I think you'll really enjoy using assessments in Schoology because it is user friendly on the teacher and on the student end. What other really great thing that you can you have within Schoology is the option to preview your assessment. So within the preview, you can click preview. This just came out, and see what it looks like for the students very quickly and know whether or not this is how you want the question set up or not.